The lighthouse that sent messages from tomorrow. The storm had been raging for hours. Towering waves crashed against the rocky cliffs as Ethan Cole tightened his raincoat and climbed the winding path toward Blackstone Lighthouse. The lighthouse had been abandoned for nearly 30 years. No electricity, no caretaker, no visitors. Yet every year on the same night, people in the nearby village claimed its light mysteriously turned on. Ethan was a journalist. He didn't believe in ghost stories. He believed in facts. So he brought his camera, a flashlight, and one simple goal: find out who was lighting the lighthouse. The heavy wooden door groaned as he pushed it open. Dust covered every surface. Broken furniture lay scattered across the floor. The air smelled of salt and old wood. Everything looked untouched for decades. He climbed the spiral staircase toward the lantern room at the top. Halfway up, his flashlight flickered, then went out. That exact moment, the lighthouse beacon suddenly came to life. A brilliant white light swept across the ocean. Ethan froze. There has to be a generator, but there wasn't. The electrical panels were rusted beyond repair. The wires had been cut years ago. Then he noticed something strange. An old radio sitting on a dusty table. Speaker crackled. A voice came through. "Can anyone hear me?" Ethan grabbed the microphone. "Yes. Who is this?" Static. Then the voice returned. "My name is Ethan Cole." His heart skipped a beat. "What?" "I'm a journalist trapped inside Blackstone Lighthouse." Ethan slowly lowered the microphone. The voice was his own. He stared at the radio in disbelief. "This isn't funny." The other Ethan replied calmly. "I said the exact same thing." Silence filled the room. Finally, Ethan asked, "Where are you?" "I'm here. In the lighthouse." "But..." "Tomorrow." Ethan laughed nervously. "That's impossible." "I know. But listen carefully. You only have a few minutes." Before Ethan could respond, the radio crackled violently. "The storm isn't natural." "What do you mean?" "At exactly midnight. Don't go near the window." Transmission ended. Ethan checked his watch. 11:56 p.m. 4 minutes until midnight. He paced around the room. Was someone playing a trick? Hidden speakers? A recorded message? He searched every corner. Nothing. Then, the radio switched on again. "I forgot something." The future Ethan sounded frightened. "When you hear knocking, don't answer it." Knocking? There was no one for miles. The lighthouse stood alone on a cliff surrounded by raging ocean. Then, knock, knock, knock. 3 slow knocks echoed from the front door. 5 stories below. Ethan looked toward the staircase. His pulse quickened. The knocking came again. This time, louder. Against every instinct, Ethan started down the stairs. Halfway to the entrance, the radio upstairs screamed through the building. "Don't open it!" The knocking stopped. Silence. Ethan reached the door. Rain pounded outside. He looked through the tiny round window. No one. He unlocked the door anyway. The storm vanished. Completely. Side wasn't the rocky coastline anymore. It was bright morning. The ocean was calm. Birds sang. Standing on the cliff was another Ethan. Older. With a scar across his forehead. He smiled sadly. "You weren't supposed to open it." Before Ethan could speak, the world snapped back. The storm returned instantly. The doorway was empty. He slammed the door shut. Breathing heavily, he raced back upstairs. The radio hissed again. "I warned you." Future Ethan sounded exhausted. You see me now. What was that? You. 10 years from now. Ethan sat in stunned silence. How is this possible? The lighthouse doesn't guide ships. It guides time. Every year during this storm, it connects two versions of the same person. The beacon suddenly began spinning faster. Its light flashed across the ocean. Again, again, again. Future Ethan's voice became urgent. We're running out of time. I need you to stop me. What? 10 years from now, I make a terrible mistake. What mistake? I stop answering the radio. Ethan frowned. Why? Because I believe changing the past is impossible. And then, a rescue ship sinks. 23 people die. The room fell silent. Future Ethan whispered, You can save them. How? When you leave here? Write today's date. Come back exactly 10 years from now and answer the radio. Transmission began breaking apart. Ethan, promise me. I promise. The radio went silent. The lighthouse light faded. Everything became dark again. The next morning, rescue workers found Ethan asleep inside the abandoned lighthouse. He told no one what had happened. Instead, he wrote one sentence in his notebook. Turn in 10 years. Exactly a decade later, Ethan climbed the same cliff. His hair now carried streaks of gray. A thin scar crossed his forehead. He smiled. The old radio waited exactly where he remembered. At midnight, crackled. A younger voice spoke. Can anyone hear me? Ethan smiled softly. He picked up the microphone. Yes, my name is Ethan Cole. I've been waiting for your call. Far below, a rescue ship changed its course after receiving a storm warning. 23 lives were saved that night. As dawn broke, the lighthouse beacon slowly turned off for the final time. The purpose had been fulfilled. Some lighthouses don't guide ships. They guide second chances.